What is happening? What's happening, brother?
What's up, Mr. Kitchens? Happy
Just
Tuesday.
happy Tuesday, rocking and rolling. Looks like you are in transit. How was the rally yesterday?
It was really great. Obviously, Glenn Sanford was there. Glenn came up, kind of a short, sweet Glenn Sanford-esque type of message. Um, so it was good to see him. Elizabeth Riley was there. She did a great job. There's another. I think the guy that took the well. Oh, we had our honorary. We got a couple AI pros, but we had
Phil.
darn it, what's his name?
Phil.
Who?
Phil Stringer.
Phil. Yeah, sorry. There's an echo in my car. Yeah, Phil came. So good to see Phil. Phil knocked it out of the park with his story, dude. Like you could just tell from the first time I heard. Now Phil's always been a great speaker because he's a performer, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
previous singing experience and all this other stuff. But he has like upped his game significantly, which it goes to the repetition of skill. What is it? The repetition of skills. I can't speak today. I'm all full of my words. Repetition is the mother of skill. Thank you. All right,
Yeah, right.
I'll spit this shit out eventually the correct way. But he knocked it out of the park with his story. He really nailed his core story, and I never heard him tell this story.
We lost him. What's up, cuz?
What's up? Who we talking about?
Oh, we were just getting kind of an update out of the rally yesterday. So he was just talking about some key takeaways and things. But he was talking about Phil. Obviously, I mean, it was just seems like just yesterday. Meeting Phil for the first time at must have been a couple of years ago at shareholders in Orlando, and him coming up and obviously I think that's part of that entertainment, DNA inside of him. So he's not afraid, right, to get up and have a conversation. Definitely, having to put yourself out there is super key. So I think what Al was sharing is just how well he's able to present, how well he is been able to really articulate and tell a story. But that, like what Al was saying, right as you jumped in, it's just like anything, right? It just comes with the reps, and the more reps you have, and really till it's really hardwired and ingrained in you. So being able to have that is key. Hey, looks like we got you back, brother.
Yeah, that's you kind of finished up what I was trying to say before my internet. Sorry, I'm going through some weird areas. But Phil has really nailed his core story. He had that place in tears. He really delivers it like a class speaker, and I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
The other one that stood out was a guy named Austin Chevron. You guys know Austin Chevron?
No.
He had a team, has a team, I guess, I think Indiana, selling 500 homes a year, something like that. He's going into, I guess he's starting to move into the coaching space. And again, nailed the core story. So my biggest takeaway from this was, if you're going to start speaking, if you're starting to teach, they spent 75% of the time up there on the core story and 25% of the time on the meat of the message. And it worked really well. So I don't know if that's the right percentage or not. I think we usually do 25 and 75, and maybe it was 50-50, but they both nailed their core story. So my big takeaway was nail your core story, get vulnerable. Like when we saw Ed Milet, When we saw Ed Milet, that whole place was in tears. The best keynote I've ever heard. And why? Because he nailed the core story. And I can't emphasize it enough. So that was my big takeaway.
Yeah, it is, man. It's super important, right? And it's part of you know, kind of that formula from stage, right? I mean, you got to connect with the heart before you can even attempt to connect with their head. And I think a lot of people that just haven't put in the reps or understand that process is that they try to go right at the head and ain't nobody listening, right? They haven't had the time to really connect with them and connect with their heart. And it's the, you know, how you make them feel from the beginning and then how you make them feel at the ending is really what they remember. So having that formula down is so key. And you know why anybody should want to listen to you. You know what makes you unique, what makes you just like them, and why do you do what you do. And you're able to connect that. And you know, the same thing, you know, as you're wrapping up, you know, tie it back together or tell another heartstring story that goes to the message you're wanting to convey. And you can get people to move right.
Yeah,
If you
I
can
wanted
get them to
to
move
hear
emotionally.
Jay's take on this because I'll be honest with you. Between John Kitchens, Mike Reese, and Jay, you guys can connect with audiences like no one else I know. You've taught me on how to connect. And a lot of the reasons is because of the genuineness. And I want to point something out. I think we've all been in front of so many speakers at this point and seen so many keynotes, and we've seen some bad ones. And I would say that the bad ones, they tell a core story that doesn't seem genuine. Have you ever see someone speak and it's like, all right, dude, this is pretty cookie cutter, and this might be your story, but I'm not really buying it because it doesn't feel genuine. You know what I mean? And have you guys ever heard someone like,
Oh yeah.
where it just feels like they're going through the motions on their core story? It doesn't connect because it's not genuine. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah, authenticity, and it's being vulnerable too. I mean, I think part of making the connection is you have to tell a story where you've been where they are or what they're familiar with, and so and sometimes those stories are hard to tell, right? Like, I mean, I think probably one of the best talks I ever gave was at one of Matt Wagner's events on the seventh the myth of the seventh level, and I had to tell the story of struggle, right? Where, I mean, if you guys remember when we did the call together on the death of the real estate team,
Yeah.
and people were reaching out to us like, man, I felt like you were in my living room talking specifically to me. It's like,
Yeah.
when you've actually been there and been through the struggles that they're experiencing, that makes a real connection. And when it's an authentic story, people can tell, because it's like, what's going on in their head. Like, they feel like you're speaking to them. So, a lot of people make the mistake, I think, of talking about all their success. The real connection comes from, the hard shit that you had to go through that is what other people are likely experiencing. And that gets, you do that by knowing your audience. And I think the times I've seen speakers misconnect is when they weren't really clear on who their audience was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what struggles that they actually have.
Yeah, that's a great point. And no matter what, and to your point, Al, what you're talking about really just comes down to you just didn't trust that person. Mm. And so there was some incongruencies there or whatever that may be. And my favorite definition of trust is just vulnerability, authenticity times time. So the thing is that, hey, you may have met them for the first time right here, and maybe there was a connection, but when you go to look them up and you kind of diving down the rabbit hole of their content and their stuff, they better be consistent. If not, then trust will break, and then you'll never believe them, and it's just so hard to rebuild that. So it's just authenticity times time is what builds trust. But when you're able to make that connection, like what you're talking about from stage, they know the audience, you make the connections, then they go down the rabbit hole. Then that usually lends to, hey, we might have some congruency and there might be a relationship here. And, it's so key, man. And I mean, we talk about it all the time, and I just think I don't know, maybe just how we're wired. Like we just can't. I can't bullshit you. It's just like I'm just not wired that way, and I think a lot of us are that way, and I think yeah, just being able to understand who you are, lean into it, and make that connection to the audience.
You know what it reminds me of, and I think you and John were both there. It was 2010 or 2011 EGS. It was one of the smaller one where Goldwasser opened, and we had a bunch of pretty high powered people there, and they were all crushing it. And Goldwasser crushed his story. And I remember being backstage. I won't say who it was, but the person that was going to be speaking, in one of the upcoming sessions was trying to figure out how they were going to, craft the story of their struggle, and it flopped completely because it was the most, inauthentic thing that you could have ever possibly heard. So the attempt. I don't know if y'all remember who it is. I can tell y'all offline. I wouldn't put it out there publicly, but some people just have a hard time with like telling the truth about the shit they went through. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if you think that anything that we're doing is a straight line to success, it is not. Let me just be very clear. It is anything but that. It's filled with ups and downs and peaks and valleys. The best parts are the valleys, let me tell you. I mean, those stories are my favorite. My favorite stories, like you catch me, at the bar, I'll tell you the real stories, some of the shit that'll make your whole fucker up. The things that we've gone through, and and people sometimes think, man, they're so successful. But the reality is they just were more resilient, and you fight through those struggles and you look for the lessons in them, and you keep moving forward, and eventually you find a breakthrough. And so anyway, yeah, that's good stuff, man. I mean, I haven't been on here in a while, so I feel like I've been missing. I got a lot of cool stuff. I went to what's it called? I was looking for my notebook from it. I can't find it either. But Grant Cardone's event, his big event, and man, we're talking about some great speakers now. I mean, he brings the freaking fire. Absolutely great. And the best speaker out of all of them, which should be no surprise to any of us, was John Maxwell. John Maxwell was throwing off one-liners. I mean, I couldn't write notes fast enough. I mean, his stuff was just fantastic. And a lot of different people that you may like. Tyler Perry. I'd never heard Tyler Perry's story. His story was fantastic. I mean, in a story of struggle of coming from a place where never should have been successful. He was doing these skits early on, and with like 5 people in the room, for like 7 years he did it. And he was living out of his car in between. Like, he'd have a job, and then he'd be like, I got to go do this thing. And he would get there, and there'd be, 30 people in the room, and he just kept pushing through, kept persevering, kept moving. And, eventually, boom, he goes to one and it's sold out. And then the next one sold out. And the next one sold out. And, that kind of started his, trajectory up. And, none of the folks' stories that we heard, was the story of their success. It was the story of, what it took, to find success. And so it was super inspiring. Highly recommend GrowthCon. It is and I think next year's GrowthCon will be the last one that Grant does. He's super heavy into the apartments, which that's a whole nother discussion we could talk about. Anybody interested in investing in apartments, I've been devouring that content and understanding that strategy, largely because I'm leaving Puerto Rico probably this year, going back to the States. I'm looking for the right investments. And I've gotten to look at a tremendous number of investment opportunities the last 3 years. Admittedly, like my number one personal goal this year was to really understand my strategy for making investments and what I say yes and no to. Because I've had some winners and I've had some losers. So, I'm trying to make, the best I can. But Grant's focus is mainly on apartments. I now understand why. At first, I did not. So that's very, very interesting. And I'm super excited. We just took down a $14.5 million property, a class A apartment in Fort Worth, that we're doing a small raise on, but it's a fantastic asset. I mean, it's incredible. I'm privileged to be involved in it, to be honest. But there's that, and then I got one more thing I got to say. So we've been working behind the scenes. Most everybody doesn't really know this. Al, you and John do, but we've been working on this. For those of you that know, Braden's here. We're in Puerto Rico right now. He had a call yesterday with an agent. 517,000 under contract the first 30 days, 10 buyer contracts signed in the first 30 days from running ads on a $300 ad spend, brand new agent, a year in the business, hadn't closed anything. They're closing one at the end of this month from their first 30 days. And I hear these stories all the time. And the problem that we've had is it was expensive for us to scale this. Like the amount of work that goes into scaling this has made it difficult to scale. I want to do it for everyone. And just bandwidth doesn't allow that. And so we're going to be rolling this out next week, and it's called Pilot. It's going to include a Lofty platform. We're baking everything in. We've been looking at KV Core. We've used KV Core, and we've used Lofty for these funnels in the past. It's fine. What makes Lofty a better option is it has some AI that does a lot of the conversion process for the agent, which is just an efficiency thing, to be honest. But it's certainly helped with conversion, overall conversion. And so that's going to be rolling out at a super low cost. It's going to be a very robust program for us to help agents. We were charging $2,000 for this. And now it's going to be including your Lofty platform, the little excess $40, that's included at $97. But we're going to be rolling that out. It's going to be on a beta until we work out the kinks, just make sure onboarding is dialed in. But yeah, I've been working on that for a better part of, I don't know, it feels like 6 months. It's probably only been 3 or 4, but super excited about being able to do that more at scale and at a super low cost where anybody can get involved. So that's coming soon.
Sweet. Love it. Yeah. I mean, being able to really find, this is where a lot of agents, especially the ones that, kind of rode the tailwind, a few years ago. And then now, the winds have shifted, right. And everything's into a headwind. So you got to be a little more obviously intentional and strategic to navigate a headwind instead of, riding the tailwind for all that you can.
Yeah, I had two recruiting calls right before this. Both of them are coming over because of what I pitched them on that call. So like this whole strategy was around like if we can actually help agents win consistently and very the hardest thing as an agent is if you're doing, and one guy's been in the business for a long time doing 20 to 25 transactions. The other guy was a newer agent. But both of them needed exactly what we provided. They needed something consistent to start closing a couple deals a month from. That's what they need. And that's usually the first step. And so, we've just taken kind of the approach we take from a coaching perspective and coaching an agent. And, now with the technology that's being provided and the strategy and what we know the right things to do in the right order. We can help you with the strategy, the implementation, the training. If this whole NAR change, if you haven't gone through CHBA, you're crazy. You lost your mind. Like that is absolutely the solution to making sure you get paid on transactions. We've been teaching that for 15 years now. But all of that stuff is all included. And we want to help agents build successful businesses where you're not running all over the marketplace because Zillow has you going on appointments all over the state. The first guy I was on a call with, he's like, yeah, I'm paying a 40% referral and, they got me going all over the state. And I'm like, that's not building a business. That's not what you want. You look up 5 years and you're getting referrals from, in all over the state. You can't do more than 25 or 30 deals because you're spread so thin. So yeah, man, I'm excited. A lot of really cool stuff that we're working on, and the goal is add value to agents, and let's go help more agents come over to EXP, and let's build our rev share while we help people be more successful.
Boom,
love it.
Any other, you guys tuning in? If you have any questions or comments, please throw them in. I think if you guys are not aware, go-to resource for everything, obviously inside of the Honey Badger Facebook group, but you can also go to honeybadgernation.com and everything will be there for you guys. All the information, all the updates, everything we have right there. Any other updates coming out with, obviously, you know, Glenn was there with you, and since he, you know, Al obviously transitioned with Leo. Anything from, you know, from an EXP, you know, leadership that's kind of getting communicated, rolled out, that you know, these honey badgers need to be aware of, that you can talk about? Let's put it that way, that you can talk about.
Well, Jay, you know, Jay and I, we're in a meeting, and I guess the only thing that I can say, because Glenn said it from stage, so I guess it's safe, is that actually it was Darren Mancuso raised his hand. They did questions after, because he only spoke for like 20 minutes. And then they did a Q&A, and Darren said, hey, are you guys at corporate working on any changes to our model to help us compete with these new competitors and, you know, just stay innovative? And Glenn smiled, and then he looked at him and said, all I can say is soon, very soon. And so basically it was a yes. Jay and I saw what they got cooking, and I would say, Jay, your opinion, I mean, I think it's a step in the right direction. It's not ultimately where we should be, but it's a step I guess it's a step in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I don't know when it's going to roll out. My guess would be May 1st. I mean, but we don't know that, and we can't really talk about it because we're still under an NDA for it. But I think there's going to be a lot of people really excited. Certain level organizations are going to see a significant improvement, especially over time, with a little pressure being taken off of the FLQA numbers. So yeah, I think it's going to be very well received. There's some other things that we'd like to see happen that are going to take some technology changes over time to be able to implement, but all really cool things. And one of the things I did not see coming. Like, I was like, that's awesome. And so I think people are going to really love it. You know which one I'm talking about, Al? The last one that Leo shared with us?
Yeah.
The push button.
Yeah. Give me a hint again on it.
Yeah. There's a push button. A push button to get paid.
Oh, yeah. That's gonna be big for a lot of people. And I would say this. Here's what we can say: that push button thing's gonna be great. A lot of people are gonna take advantage of it, and they're gonna love it. Second, a lot their revenue for many. So I guess we could say that. Good.
Yeah, I would say there's a large number of people that have that probably feel like they struggle to keep their FLA count to a number that gets them paid on all their levels, that are going to be extremely excited with the change. I will say that. So yeah, good things, great things coming in, man. You know, I love Leo. By the way, you know, Leo's a dog, and he's a dog. And he is one of us. I mean, he was he number one in the Keller Williams in the world, you know, in 2014. Like, the guy is one of us. And so he understands, you know, what it takes, you know, to help agents be successful. And the changes that, you know, the things that are rolling out, the improvement in kind of our messaging and our marketing, staying out front. I just got an email right before we hopped on here of the top 250 teams in EXP, and you know, if you took just the top 250 teams in EXP, we would be the sixth. We would be, I think it was number 5 or 6 on the list of companies, largest companies in the United States, just with our top 250 teams. That's how much bigger we are than everybody. Just that one group of agents would be the 6th largest in the U.S. So, like, we literally have the best of the best agents in the world, period. Yes, some people are going to leave. Not everybody's going to stay. You're not going to get them all. Nobody does. So there's some people that choose to go another path. That's fine. Wish them well. Maybe, hopefully it works out. If not, welcome them back with open arms. But we got 1.5 million agents to go after out there that, you know, that that if they want to be more successful and they want to, this is, EXP is where the pros go to grow. And there's nobody that can compete with that because there's nobody that has all of us with the experiences that we have in helping agents be successful. So, it's really hard to, come in as the number 2 or number 3 or number 25 in the market, trying to be a copycat and beat, the number 1 incumbent first to market when number 1, we can innovate and change with anything we see, which is happening. And, we have the best people in the industry opening their playbooks to help agents be successful. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun, man. I love it. I love competition. I love change. I love all of it. So, like, I eat this stuff up. People just got to believe, you're in the best place that you could possibly be here, and, plug into the things you need and make sure that you're doing the work. That's, it doesn't matter where you're at. You're going to have to do the work. So, make sure you stay plugged in and keep doing the work.
Yeah, man. Well said.
What's great about the competition that we have right now is that when you look at our agents as our consumers and our clients are the agents, right? We serve them. This is forcing us as a brokerage to innovate and make a better agent experience. That's because if we didn't have the competition, we wouldn't be forced to make improvements, right? Like, I guess we would just be like Remax and Keller, where we leave the model exactly the way it is, and we're not making any changes to it and innovating.
Yep.
But it's forcing innovation. And at the end of the day, that results in a better consumer experience for agents to grow.
Yep.
So,
Harold Ware said this a long time ago. Harold was one of our great mentors, one of the smartest people to this day I've ever met. And, he said that the companies that exist today, the traditional real estate companies will not be able to innovate out of their model. And so, Remax, we've destroyed Remax over the last 5 years. Keller Williams, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, all of these companies, they can't innovate and create revenue share and stock in a publicly traded company for their agents. They can't even compete. None of the competition, none of the new companies that start moving forward will ever not have revenue share and stock again. It's been proven that this is the model. And so, that's we have a whole bunch of people that still ain't seen the light. I was talking to Mike Reese yesterday, and we've been hitting the sauna every day. And man, if you hit the sauna for 30 minutes and it don't almost kill you, then there's something wrong with you. I mean, that shit is legit. But we hit the sauna, and he was talking about a guy he was just talking to. That's like, man, I had no idea that this even existed, this opportunity of EXP. He had no idea. There's still people that don't truly understand why this is so different and so much better for them. So, keep going out there talking to them. There's lots of people that we can help.
Yeah. It's just that the law. What is it? Law of diffusion. I mean, there's just certain people on the bell curve that just come around later to a lot of things. I mean, because we held on to the BlackBerry for a long time. So
man. I know, man. I was slow to move off that BlackBerry, man.
I love my BlackBerry.
Yeah.
So good stuff, man. Yeah, to the whole point and kind of what you were saying there as we kind of wrap up. It's one of my favorite signs. It's over, Zane at Zane's karate studio. It's the sign right over the door that says, the teacher can open the door, but the student has to walk through. And, I think, we're all here and the door's open, but it's on you guys listening in to take that step and just walk through the door.
Yeah. Love that.
Cool. All right, fellas, great stuff as always. I know as we get closer, EXP continues to roll things out. We'll keep sharing and keep pushing, and obviously with the funnel pilot project and everything coming out, your way, guys, listening in. honeybadgernation.com is your go-to resource. Check it out. Also, make sure you guys are getting plugged into the Expert Mentor series. I've had some incredible conversations of late. Just really some true amazing rock stars within this the Honey Badger Nation community. So make sure you guys are tuning in to our Expert Mentor series. Every Thursday, lock and loaded. Get on the call with Wally Bressler, taking everybody through CHBA, CHSA, really everything that we teach. from an NAEA perspective. Dive in with Wally, and then of course don't miss out on Braden's Funnel Friday. So we got something for you guys every day. We're here for you. Give us some feedback. Anything that we can do to help you guys, stay on the path, stay committed, and keep moving forward. Sweet.
See you.
Cool. All right,
See you,
fellas.
everybody.
See you.
See you next time.
Appreciate y'all.
Later.
Yep.